Our movie kicks off with a woman named Luna, and she's picking up food off the street with her little girl, Nolly. We find out they're homeless and don't have any cash for food or even a place to crash. Their life is basically just moving between cities every single day. Because they're so starving, they're forced to shoplift food from supermarkets, and they even wash up in public restrooms. One day, Luna decides to go back to her hometown, hoping she might find someone there to help her out. As soon as she gets there, she rents a tiny room for her and her daughter Nolly until she can find a decent job. But unfortunately, the little bit of money she had was so low that it runs out on the very first day. Of course, Luna has no idea what to do, especially since the most important thing to her is her daughter Nolly. But by chance, she looks out the window and sees some girls who look like they're up to no good, hanging out with truck drivers. Naturally, she figures out they're hooking up with them for money. Luna stands there thinking for a bit, and the surprise is that she decides to go do the same thing. But right before she knocks on the truck window, her conscience kicks in and she changes her mind. But her rotten luck has it that a cop named Cannell sees her and asks her what she's doing there. Luna gets all nervous and tells him she was just at the market and was heading home. But the officer tells her he saw her getting out of the truck and that she was definitely having an affair with the driver for cash. He insists on arresting her to throw her in jail on charges of selling her body. Luna is shocked and tries to explain to him that she didn't even get in the truck in the first place. She begs him to let her go because she has a little girl she's raising. But the officer doesn't believe her. He drags her against her will and throws her inside the car. On their way to the police station, Luna keeps begging him to let her go for the sake of her daughter, but he makes it clear to her that she has to be held accountable for what she did. After a little while, he stops the car in the middle of nowhere, and the pig offers her to have a sexual encounter with him. Of course, Luna is forced to agree just so he'll let her go back to her daughter Nolly. She actually lets the officer do whatever he wants to her. But afterwards, he tells her he really likes her and that she's going to stay with him for a while. While she's in total shock, the officer calls two of his buddies to come spend the evening with him. He orders Luna to get out just like she is and sit on the hood of the car to welcome his friends. Luna is forced to do what he says. But when she gets on the hood, she finds it burning hot, and she asks for his permission to go grab her shirt so she can actually sit on the car. But Luna surprises us when she grabs his gun from the car and threatens him with it. But he just laughs and tells her she's too young to be playing with weapons. Luna gets all jittery and fires the gun at him. Unfortunately, the officer dies right then and there. Of course, she's absolutely terrified because she can't believe she just killed a cop. Because of that, she takes the gun and takes off running until she gets back to her daughter and finds her having a total meltdown crying. Luna takes her in her arms and tries to calm her down, reassuring her that she's right there with her. The next day, we meet a guy named Russell who just got out of prison. We find out he was locked up because he accidentally killed someone while he was driving his car, totally wasted. When he gets to the town where he used to live, he finds two guys he doesn't know waiting for him. Without any warning, they grab Russell and beat him to a pulp, humiliating him right in the street. At that point, we find out they're the brothers of the guy Russell killed. One of them, named Larry, tells him he's not going to show him any mercy until he settles the score with him. After that, they leave. Russell gets up, picks up his stuff, and decides to go to his father's house, whose name is Manny. As soon as Manny sees him, he's super happy. He introduces him to his girlfriend Sully, who lives with him. Russell is shocked that his dad moved on with another woman after his mom passed away. But Manny smooths things over, tells him, "Welcome home," and they all go inside the house. At night, when they're sitting together, Russell asks his dad where he met this woman. Manny tells him he saw her and got to know her while he was going to visit his uncle. He tells him she was working with a thug who was treating her real bad, so he decided to offer for her to come back with him to his town and start their lives together. At the time, she agreed, and they both came back and lived in peace. After that, Manny gives him the car keys and his second house to stay in for a while. He also gives him a shotgun to protect himself in case anyone messes with him. Russell thanks his dad, takes the car, and leaves. But he decides to go hang out at a bar for a bit to change the mood. But Russell starts getting anxious because of the noise, since it reminds him of his crappy memories inside prison. Because of that, he decides to head out, get his car, and go. But while he's on the road, a cop named Bullet pulls him over. He tells him to get out and put his hands up like a good boy. But then we find out the officer actually knows Russell and was a close friend of his. He's actually really happy that he's finally out of jail and that they'll be hanging out again. But Russell notices there's a police car parked nearby with barricades around it. When he asks Bullet about it, he finds out a cop was killed here yesterday, and they're still investigating the matter. Of course, Russell didn't need any more shocks, so he says goodbye to his friend and heads out. On the other side, we see Luna taking her daughter Nolly to a shelter. We find out she decided to leave her there while she looks for a decent job to make some money. At the same time, Larry and Michael are at the grave of their brother, who Russell killed. We find out Larry wants to get revenge for his brother's death from Russell, no matter how or at what cost. At night, Russell is invited over for dinner at Officer Bullet's house. When they finish eating and sit down together, Bullet asks him about the bruises all over his face. Russell tells him that Larry was the one who welcomed him when he got out of jail, and it looks like he still wants to get revenge for his brother's death. Of course, that really bugs Bullet because he knows Russell didn't mean to kill him, but he explains to him that he won't be able to step in until something actually happens because he represents justice in the town. On the other side, we see Larry drinking whiskey until he's totally hammered, and the surprise is that he decides to go to Russell's house. He starts smashing the windows and even the door, and then he leaves. When Russell finishes his night out and gets home, he's shocked by what happened. He pulls out the shotgun and goes to see what cold-hearted person did this to his house. When he makes sure nobody's in the house, he hides the shotgun under the bed and goes to sleep. As soon as he wakes up the next day, he finds a woman standing in front of his house. At that point, we find out it's Lacey, the woman Russell loved before he went to prison. Lacey is there to see him and check on him after he got out of jail, and it looks like she still loves him. But he gets a surprise when she tells him she got married 2 months after he was locked up and even had 3 kids. At that moment, Lacey gives him back his ring while she's totally breaking down crying. She says goodbye and leaves. At that time, Luna had started working at a restaurant, and we see her eating the customers' leftovers because she's so hungry. When she finishes work, she goes straight to her daughter. She takes her in her arms, and they both sit there drawing and playing together until they fall asleep. But one day, Luna is surprised that someone folded her clothes and put them in her daughter's closet. She's totally shocked because she can't find the gun she killed the officer with. Of course, she gets scared and packs her things real quick to run away with her daughter from the shelter. But before that, she goes and catches the supervisor off guard and steals the gun back from her without her noticing. But the surprise is that the supervisor had already reported them as soon as she saw the gun. The police arrive at the shelter, but they don't find any trace of the girl or her mother. At night, we see Russell, who's got a good buzz going, leaving the bar to go home. But suddenly, Luna appears in front of him and puts the gun to his head so he'll take her to a specific place in his car. Of course, he's forced to agree and moves them toward the place she told him about. But while they're on the road, Nolly is dying to use the bathroom. Russell suggests they can stop at a gas station because they have a restroom. Luna agrees then. When they get to the gas station, she actually lets her daughter out of the car, but suddenly Russell snatches the gun from her and empties the bullets out of it. Luna begs him not to hurt her and asks him to give the gun back, but Russell assures her he's not going to hurt her. He just wants to understand what's going on first. Luna is forced to tell him everything about her life. She totally breaks down crying because she doesn't have anyone to be a support system for her and her daughter. Russell is moved by what she told him and decides to help her and be by her side. He takes them to an isolated spot inside the forest, and they light a little fire to keep them warm. At that moment, Luna tells him the story of the gun and lets him know that the officer raped her, and that's why she killed him. Russell feels that she actually did the right thing, but he's real surprised that she's carrying the murder weapon with her. Luna explains to him that she's scared to leave it anywhere because they might track it to her and arrest her. But Russell reassures her and asks her to go sleep with her daughter inside the car until morning comes. The next day, we see Bullet going to ask Manny about his son Russell. He tells him he's real worried about him because he went to his house and he wasn't there, and he noticed the house windows were trashed. Manny tells him he hasn't seen him for 2 days, and that's not reassuring at all. Because of that, he asks him to look for him and also go talk some sense into Larry because he's definitely involved in the matter. We go back to Luna and her daughter as soon as they wake up. They're surprised that Russell actually didn't sleep all night. Russell tells them he found a good place for them to live, but first he's taking them out for breakfast. After a few hours, Russell takes them to his dad, Manny. As soon as Manny sees him, he scolds him because he was real worried about him. Russell reassures him he's fine and asks him to let this woman and her daughter stay in his shed temporarily. Of course, Manny has no idea what's going on, but his son reassures him and says he'll tell him all the details later. Manny agrees even though he knows nothing but trouble comes from his son. Russell actually takes Luna and her daughter to the shed and leaves them alone so they can get comfortable. After that, we see him sitting at his late mother's grave. He tells her that he feels her with him all the time and can't believe she's gone and far away from him. At that time, Manny goes to welcome Luna and plays a bit with her daughter Nolly. For the first time, Luna is happy and feels like she's actually living a good life. On the other side, we see Larry going to the baseball field where his son is playing. But his ex-wife, whose name is Dana, prevents him from meeting him because she has custody by court order. But Larry is determined to talk to him, but the boy himself refuses to meet him. At that moment, Larry gets furious. He grabs a baseball bat and starts hitting anyone in front of him. Of course, his wife was terrified and called the police to come arrest him. When night falls, we see Russell standing in front of a lake with Luna. Russell tells her this is the best time to get rid of the gun she used for her crime. Luna actually wipes her fingerprints off it and tosses it into the water. At that time, Russell starts telling her the reason he was jailed for 7 years. He tells her that on that day he had a fight with his fiancée and they totally wrecked each other. Because of that, he took his car and kept drinking until he was totally wasted and couldn't see a thing. At that time, Luna was actually with her lover Jason, having a nice time together. When they finish and Jason goes to get his jacket from inside the car because he was cold, the surprise is that Russell was driving in the same spot where they were sitting. Of course, he hit them with his car because he didn't even see them. Unfortunately, Jason passes away. In the present time, Luna starts cursing him because he's the reason her life was destroyed. Russell is shocked and tries to calm her down, asking her to forgive him, but she flat out refuses and keeps insulting him because he also made her daughter an orphan. Russell asks her if Larry knows that her daughter Nolly is actually his brother's daughter. Luna tells him that not a single soul knows anything about her daughter Nolly. The next day we see Russell going to his house, but he finds Bullet waiting for him. He asks him where he's been hiding. Russell lets him know he's been staying with his dad for the last couple of days because his financial situation is totally trashed. But Bullet surprises him then when he asks him if he knows a woman named Luna who has a little girl. Of course, Russell denies knowing her and asks him what she did. Bullet tells him that one day a supervisor at a shelter called them and reported her because she found a gun with them. But they arrived there late and didn't find Luna or even the gun. Russell laughs and says, "That's cool, but what do I have to do with all that?" Here, Bullet freezes in his tracks because he can't find any comeback. Russell explains to him that the reason he disappeared is that Larry keeps coming to the house and smashing it, and that's why he's hiding for a bit until things cool down between them. On the other side, Michael had bailed out his brother Larry and got him out of the police station. He keeps giving him advice to wise up a bit, stop drinking, and also leave Russell alone. But Larry gets real heated and tells him to get lost before he smashes his car. When we go back to Luna and her daughter Nolly, we find they've started adjusting to living with Russell's family. Nolly especially has started feeling like she's living a beautiful life, much better than the homelessness she was living in. After a few days, we see Bullet going to Manny to talk to his son Russell. But when he knocks on the door, nobody answers. So he decides to go look for them in the shed, thinking he might find one of them there. But at that time, Luna sees him by chance and hides real quick with her daughter Nolly. Bullet reaches the shed and looks around inside, but he doesn't find anyone. But he notices there's a ladder next to him leading to the loft. He decides to go up. But suddenly he finds Sully coming and screaming in his face, dragging him by the neck out of the shed. Manny, of course, is real annoyed that he stormed his shed without permission. But Bullet tells him he knocked a lot, but nobody answered. He asks him if his son Russell was staying with him recently or not. Manny tells him he was actually hanging out with him last night, and they kept drinking together until morning. Bullet thanks him then and leaves. And I, as Muhammad, don't even know what his role in the movie is. Anyway, after a little while, Russell arrives. As soon as Manny sees him, he tells him that Bullet is turning the world upside down, looking for him. Russell becomes sure he's looking for Luna and her daughter Nolly. Because of that, he goes to talk to Luna and explains to her that her staying here has become dangerous for her and her daughter. He suggests she travel somewhere else until things cool down, and then she can come back and live with them. But Luna is real hesitant about this decision because she'll be leaving her daughter Nolly with them here. But Russell reassures her that her daughter will be safe and lets her know the matter won't take long. After a lot of talk, Luna is finally convinced to leave and leave her daughter behind. But Russell finds a spent shell casing from the bullet she killed the officer with nearby by chance, and he decides to keep it with him. On the other side, we see Larry in a very miserable state, to the point that he wants to kill himself. But he backs down at the last second and keeps crying over his life that was totally destroyed. At that time, Luna was saying goodbye to Manny and his wife Sully, begging them to take care of Nolly, her daughter. Manny promises her he'll treat her better than his own daughter and reassures her she'll be fine. After that, Russell takes her to give her some things from the house he's staying in. But we're surprised that Larry is waiting for them inside the house, holding a piece of iron in his hand to kill him with. Luna was heading toward the bathroom then, but suddenly, Larry hits her on the head with the iron, knocking her out right where she stands. Russell is shocked and attacks him, but Larry was stronger than him and literally trashes his face. After that, he pulls out the shotgun to kill him with it and get revenge for his brother's death. But suddenly, he gets shot by Manny, who was coming to check on his son because he was late. But Larry, my friend, gets up again. But this time he leaves the house and takes off. At that moment, Russell gets up quick, takes Luna, and rushes her to the hospital to save her life. At that time, we see Larry going to his ex-wife's house to say goodbye to his son before he dies. But Dana, his ex, is totally shocked as soon as she sees him injured and calls the police immediately. Larry gets heated then. He leaves them, takes his car, and drives off. But the police found out and blocked all the roads with an ambush to arrest him. But unfortunately, Larry dies on the road and doesn't make it to do anything. At that time, Bullet goes to Russell at the hospital to check on him. Russell is forced then to tell him everything that happened. He also lets him know that the woman inside the hospital is Luna, the one who killed the officer. While Bullet is in shock, Russell asks him to help her and not let her go to jail. Bullet tells him she killed a police officer and has to face the consequences. But Russell begs him to find a way and lets him know she's raising a little girl. He gives him the spent shell casing that the officer was killed with and tells him to figure it out. At that point, Bullet gets a genius idea. He leaves him and goes to plant the shell casing in Larry's car. After that, he calls another officer to take the shell and put it among the evidence. And like that, my friend, Larry, who already died, is the one who took the rap instead of Luna. After a few weeks, Luna gets out of the hospital, and her condition has improved a lot. She goes back to live with her daughter in Manny and his wife Sully's house, and she's very happy and joyful. And up to here, my dear friend, our movie ends. I hope if you like the summary, you'll give us a like and share the video. And don't forget to tell us your opinion on the movie's story with a nice comment. And of course, if it's your first time seeing us, subscribe and turn on notifications. Pick any one of them and let's go. Peace.